I'm excited about the topic today. And, I'm really excited about the topic every week. So it doesn't really matter. So, first things first, if this is your first time watching on live and maybe the first time coming into the group, I always talk from the perspective of how do we help you make your transition quickly? And definitely from a service-based entrepreneurship standpoint. So tonight's topic around three must-haves for income security comes from that place too. But there are some other things on here that regardless are just kind of life lessons. And you will hear that one in particular when I get to the third one. All right. So if you're on and you're excited about what we're about to talk about, just drop an excited into the chat so that I know you are there and breathing. I can see that there are people out there watching. So just type excited in the chat so that I know you're here. Now, when we talk about the three things, so the first one is essentially if you have a problem that people will pay you to solve, or you have a something pleasurable that people are willing to spend money to get to that pleasurable end, you generally don't have to worry about money. Because if it's a problem that people are going to pay you to solve, right, it will always be there. You will always have that backing of, okay, I know if I can solve that problem, I can bring in some money. Now, there are going to be some table stakes that I'll talk about at the end as it relates to that. But generally, you look around, there's almost nothing in this world that hasn't been sold as to meet some either problem to solve or some desire to fulfill, right? Some want. It's either people avoid pain or they move towards pleasure. And that's just how it is. Now, the second one is really about having an abundant source of those people that you can solve that problem for. So when I talk about that abundant source, think of it as an abundant lead source. So whatever problem that you are solving, maybe you are going to find these people by partnering with organizations, or maybe you're leveraging influencers and your audience is everywhere following this certain influencer, or maybe you're after certain hashtags on social media. Whatever it is, there is an abundant lead source of people who have this problem that they would pay you to solve. Now, at this point, it may seem like, okay, yeah, I'm with you. It makes sense. It makes sense. And the reality is this. By the way, if you are with me and it makes sense, type it in the chat. Now, the reality is this. Things that often seem so simple, the things that seem like, oh, duh, really are the things that help move you along. But because they seem so simple, or because we overcomplicate it, or because we don't know how to solve people's problem, help them with their desires, we get frustrated and we think, that's not it. I got to go try something else. I got to go do something else. I got to go do this. I got to do that. It's not working. Okay. The truth is that is foundational, and you experience it every single day, whether you go to the grocery store, whether you are watching TV. Someone is solving a problem for you, or there's some desire that you're chasing. So those two things, fundamental. Now, the third thing. So the third must-have from an income security standpoint is financial education. You can make all the money in the world and not keep most of it. How does that help you from an income security standpoint? And for those of you that are making that transition, which is everybody that's looking to make their transition from employee to entrepreneur, things start to look different when you talk about, yeah, I make money, but how much of that money do I keep? And how much of that money do I really see? And not only that, but for the money that I do make, how do I make that money make more money? Those are all the things that come along with the financial education territory. And so when you talk about being concerned with, well, will I be able to, I'm so used to having a paycheck every 2 weeks. I'm so used to having a paycheck every month, however you get paid. When you stop to take some recognition that your paycheck, as secure as it may feel, or probably this day and age, it probably doesn't feel as secure as it used to feel, it's completely out of your control. And even with your current paycheck, in fact, I've been just seeing some of the things that have been coming into the chat, not into the chat, but inside of the group. So I had posed a question about if you could have something tomorrow, what would it be? And there are a lot of you, maybe some of you watching even, that put in, well, grants and funding and this and that. And if I could just have this pile of money, I could do this, I could do that. Financial education helps you understand, all right, if I did get this cash injection tomorrow, better yet, I don't even need the cash injection. With the funds that I do have and I do get today from my paycheck, how do I make that money make me money? Because once you can start to adopt that as an employee, when you become an entrepreneur, you've already got yourself into practice, because you will constantly need to make decisions. Yes, as a full-time entrepreneur, it is up to you in terms of the money that comes in and the income that comes in. But it's also up to you how you leverage that money to make more money, how you leverage that money to grow your income. And the things that grow, when you talk about entrepreneurship that you don't necessarily see as an employee, is as you grow, you invest in things to help you grow. Whether that is employees that you bring on board, whether it is advertising so that you can grow your reach and bring more money in, there are things that you will put money into. So when you have that financial education and you understand that I've got all these things working, but my cash flow is positive, those are the things that get you into an income security type situation. Because I know where I stand. I know the levers to pull to bring in more, right? So it's knowing those different things. If you're following along with me, just type following in the chat, or yep, I hear you. Hey, I'm with you. Whatever it is, so that I know you're out there and that I haven't lost you somewhere along the way. Now, here's the bonus. So just a quick recap. So again, the first thing, from an income security standpoint, meaning, I don't really need to worry about money. I know how to get money. The first thing is, if you have a problem that people are willing to pay you for, or there is something so pleasurable that people want that they are willing to pay you for, that's the first thing. That second thing is you having an abundance of the people or a lead source. You have an abundance of these folks, whether you find them by partnering with organizations, whether you find them through social media, you find them through leveraging influencers, you know where to get them. So if you can solve a problem for them and you know where to get them, you have a path to bring in income, okay? The third thing was the financial education. So you can make all the money in the world and in your business. If your expenses are too high, you can still not see the income that you need for yourself. So financial education is key. Now, one thing that I didn't mention here, that is, this gets into that table stakes piece. So if you, and I should almost do a separate live on this, if you do not understand how to help people solve their problem or enroll them in the possibility to get their problem solved, basically what I'm saying is, if you don't know how to sell, sales is the heartbeat of any business. And so your ability to sell. And by the way, for those of you that are thinking, well, sales isn't my thing, and so I would rather just go, fully digital products. I'll just let my sales pages do the work and all this other stuff. That totally is a model. It totally works. But guess what? The copy that's written on those sales pages, what happens when you go to funnel, right? The ad that a lot of you probably came into this group through, all that is selling, but it's selling through copywriting. So whether you're doing copy and you're not physically talking, or you are physically having a conversation with people, your ability to sell is going to be overarching in this whole conversation. And that is just one thing that you cannot run away from when it comes to being a successful entrepreneur. And so that very thing, by the way, for those of you, I know Kamiko put in the group about the Transformation Black Friday. So for those of you that were interested in saying, okay, how do I do things like sell? Because we take a heavy focus on selling and finding freedom, because that is your path to cash. You cannot sell if you cannot enroll people into new opportunities. Well, good luck. But for those of you that are interested in finding out what's going on for Black Friday and how we are really increasing the value for Black Friday and what happens with the Finding Freedom Accelerator, I'm going to drop it in the chat. I'll drop it here in a second. But you can go to transformationblackfriday.gr8.com. Again, that's transformationblackfriday.gr8.com. If you want to hear it, because that's the only way I'm announcing it. So if you're not on the list, you just don't hear about it. So you can go there and then understand when we do the announcement what that offer looks like to accelerate even further for you and get you to the place where you stop feeling like, okay, I don't know if I will ever be able to make my leap to working for myself. I don't see the pathway. Income security still feels like a distant thing for me, or how do I get to that, and what does that feel like, and that type of thing. So if that's of interest to you, you're going to want to make sure you go there, transformationblackfriday.gr8.com. Okay, so that is all that I have for today. So unless anybody has anything, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. Not a lot of activity for the night. You guys are quiet tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here, and go ahead and drop a comment in the chat after this is on, or if you're watching on the replay when this is done, #replay. But I really want you to sit back and reflect on those 3 points, especially as you think and you question to yourself, well, when I'm no longer at my job, how do I get to the place of security? What does that look like? What am I missing? How do I get there? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself, not can I get there? Because it's possible. It's clearly possible. You've got examples all around you. I am an example for you. You've got examples everywhere that it's possible, but understanding how, that's the path to navigate through. All right. Okay, so that is all for tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you again soon.